Thank you very much for organization of this event. Thank you very much to George Simeon, Orion Marshall, Patrick Jarki, and our great leaders of the conservative movement. Ladies and gentlemen, and that welcome in itself promises a MAGA follow-up. Just as the title of the conference is a paraphrase of Donald Trump's slogan, let me borrow from the introduction of the presidential's inaugural address. The golden age of Europe lies ahead. As long as we can defend Western values against the creeping liberal authoritarianism. Now is the time to defend our freedom, dignity, families, faith, way of life, our sovereignty in the European Parliament here, in our national parliaments, and across our societies and culture. Only that way we'll make Europe great again. Unfortunately, in the past, too many good people in the West have succumbed to despair and paralyzing fear, a fear known from the Old Testament, where the chosen face overwhelming adversaries without full reliance on God's providence. It is this silence, this inaction of leaders, that has led us to economic, social, and security disasters in Europe. The Green Deal, gender ideology, and the disarmament of Europe on the brink of Russia's invasion of Ukraine are consequences of sacrificing common sense on the altar of modern ideologies. Too many conservative leaders have stayed silent. Some even declare that our civilizational battle is lost, suggesting we limit our focus to mere social well-being and economic stability. Others, such as mainstream Christian Democrat parties, have openly aligned with leftist revolutionaries, leading their supporters into the trap of the culture of death and materialism that threatens our foundational values and rights. But now, a new dawn has emerged. The recent victory of Donald Trump has shifted the scales of this battle. This is our historical moment to reclaim our unalienable rights and freedoms, rights that secure prosperity and the pursuit of happiness for all political communities rooted in common values. Let us boldly proclaim our fundamental Western values: personal dignity, freedom, family protection, sanctity of life, respect for our religious identities. And we must safeguard our political freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of press, also in the digital world, our property rights, from undue interference by overreaching international regulations. We need our national sovereignties to be reaffirmed. The success of this European revival, including politically and in terms of elections, is directly dependent on politicians and culture boldly breaking patterns and betting on those values that have been for years labeled offensive or out of fashion. This boldness in action is what will make Europe great again. And yes, we still face formidable foes. The waning powers of liberal democracy are fighting back against the common sense. The European Parliament, under the Lisbon Treaty, has sought to seize 10 crucial areas of sovereignty from member states, placing them into the hands of unelected bureaucrats. Issues of education, health, family, foreign affairs, military spending, migration, industry regulations, these essentials are just now slipping away from our elected governments. A new super-state with capital in Brussels is to be born at the cost of our nations and our values. The resolution of the European Parliament dated November 2023 initiated these reforms, and it is anchored in a single document, the Manifesto of Ventotene, crafted by Altiero Spinelli, long before he became a mainstream socialist and patron of this building. Invoking this manifesto in the preamble to the resolution of the European Parliament reveals the true intentions behind these reforms: abolishing nations, erasing borders, eliminating property rights, replacing democracy with the dictatorship of a European single party. By endorsing this resolution, the European Parliament has effectively laid the cornerstone for a new European super-state, an undemocratic one. In the coming week, In broad cooperation with think tanks from across the European Union, the Ordo Iuris Institute will present a draft counter-report on European Union reform. This report will fuel our conservative movement by offering two alternative scenarios for the conservative revival of the European project. In Brussels and in DC, we will invite experts to discuss the benefits and challenges facing EU. But leftist counteroffensive doesn't stop at the EU level. Liberals test new means of fighting democratic opposition. In my homeland, in Poland, we are witnessing the implementation of liberal authoritarian regime, openly referring to the doctrines of militant democracy and transitional justice. The government of Donald Tusk dismantles constitutional guarantees, targeting our fundamental rights and consolidating power against truly sovereign and conservative grassroots forces, whom they derogatorily label as right-wing populists. Militant democracy is already manifesting in gag laws against so-called hate speech, hostile takeover of public media, political control over judiciary, and the targeting of opposition voices, including the aforementioned arrest of priests and parliamentary members. Have no doubt, this Polish experiment serves as a blueprint for a broader crackdown on conservatives throughout all Europe. As liberalism loses democratic support, it, like any fading regime, grasps at force and violence to maintain its grip on power. Now it is the moment for responsible leaders to rise, to earn the trust of our people, and to replace the corrupted elites and decaying European order with politics grounded in the fundamental values, common good, and common sense. We must envision both new beginnings, a new European order. Together, we must make Europe great again. At this juncture, the Ordo Iuris Institute stands ready to serve as a hub for professional expertise, international network, and facilitator of transatlantic cooperation. We are here to bolster political change, to hold politicians accountable, and to support those courageous enough to think big and to restore the freedoms and dignity that our citizens deserve. Together, we will stand against the encroachment of global governance and fight for the common sense and common good. And I hope we will make Europe great again. Thank you.